Hi, welcome back to the Age of Quarantine. I'm Caroline. I'm your host for this evening. I do marketing, social media, whatever for Vitus. You know that by now, or you don't, and this is your first time. In which case, welcome. So I'm really stoked because we have Couch Slut, two members of Couch Slut on tonight. We've got Megan and we've got Amy, and I mean, like, this is a band that I've seen a million times. I probably have lost count of how many times I've seen Couch Slut at this point. They're great. They will be playing a live stream for Vitus soon. It's coming up next week. We'll talk all about that. We'll talk about I don't know, animals and guitars and screaming and all sorts of wacky, crazy stories. So I'm going to see, I have both Amy and Megan. And this is a fun new feature. I'm going to see if I can get both of them on here. And it's going to take me a second because I haven't done this before and I'm old now. But so I've got all right. Requests. So this will take a second for folks to join. If you're new to the live stream function, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, it works. Fuck yeah. Okay, this is great. So welcome. You've got Megan, you've got Amy. Megan is in the spooky dark. Amy is in the fabulous hat. So
yes. I have like every light on in my house, and this is just like what it is, I guess.
Amazing. But yeah, so thank you both for joining me. For everybody who's watching, if you have a question for Megan and Amy, there's a comment box below. There's also a question feature. And if you would like to go to the effort of buying them a virtual beer throughout this, they are currently collecting donations for the Alley Forney Center. So after this, I think the info is in Megan's post, but we'll post all that info in the comments. So
I can't see you guys. It's like loading for some reason.
oh,
It's like a little spinny, but Megan showed up.
hi.
Okay. No, it's still funky.
Bummer. If you leave, I can try to invite you again, and that might work. So
Okay, let me try that.
this is the first time we've tried the multicam, so
Yeah, one sec.
you're good. It might literally also just be like a connection thing. Sometimes it takes people.
Is this really dark my room is right now?
It's like nice and purple. It's a vibe.
That's my plant lights.
Oh. All right.
Okay.
How are we doing now?
It's better.
Okay.
I can hear you. It's not really showing me what you guys are doing, but I can hear you talk. So I guess that's all that really matters.
All right. It seems like folks can see all three of us on their end.
Okay,
So
that's good.
As long as they can see you. Who gives a shit about me? So, but yeah, so I'm really excited to have you guys on here, partly also because, like, I've known both of you for a while. I've seen Couch Slut a million times, and I think I, like, know nothing about how you guys started as a band. There's, like, no interviews, not a lot of press.
It's a big mystery.
Yeah. And, like, there's press as far as, like, write-ups of the record, because, like, you know, it's, especially the last one was really well received, but, like, as far as, like, interviews, like, press releasey kind of stuff. So I'm just looking forward to finding out more about sort of the history of Couch Slut.
Yeah. I think the band, sort of, the idea formed, I think Theo and I started talking about having a noise rock band, like, I want to say it was, like, either late 2013 or early 2014. And we started meeting up in Theo's basement and just playing some stuff together. And then we sort of gathered Megan and Kevin over like the course of a few months or weeks. I can't really remember. I think we asked Kevin Wunderlich to join after an Epistasis show at Grand Victory. No, not Grand Victory. Anchored Inn.
Yeah.
No.
And then I think Theo gathered Kevin Hall because Kevin Hall was like passed out in his basement once, and he was. So he was like, oh, and then they just, I guess, started talking, and Kevin was like, oh yeah, I play bass. And Theo's like, great, I need a bassist for this band. You know, so.
I mean,
and then he saw me doing like my solo stuff I had years ago. I was doing a solo like noise thing, and he was like, listen, I have this idea for a band. I was like, cool, I'll play bass. And he was like, no, you're gonna front the band. And I was like, no. But the rest is
I'm going to say, I'm glad that you relented, and the Kevin Hall collection story is like everything I dreamed it could be.
It's pretty much, yeah, classic.
yeah.
I think our first show at that gallery with Chain Gang Grave.
At the place in Manhattan?
No, it was in Bushwick. I can't remember if that was our first show.
At Trans Pecos, right?
Was it at Trans Pecos?
It was Doug's like noise fest or whatever, I think was our first show.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't really remember it. I don't know what that says about me.
It was January of 2014, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember Doug coming home from some show and being like, dude, you gotta hear this band. They don't have anything online right now, but you gotta fucking hear this band.
Yeah. I think we actually, before the first record came out, I remember we recorded like some demo versions of the songs that eventually were used to like flesh out the final versions, but we made, I think, like 10 like handmade cassette tapes, and I don't know who has any of those anymore, but I think that was like the first recordings we ever did. And then eventually we did the LP, but I don't think we had a Bandcamp page, until the first record really came out.
Yeah.
I think Antonia might have one of those cassette tapes, but I don't know where the other ones went.
If you
I'd like to have one,
let us know. I would just like to see it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't even remember what the artwork looked like. I just remember they were cassette tapes and they had like 3 or 4 songs on them. And
Wow.
who knows where they are now?
Somewhere. If you have one, let us know.
Yeah. Send me a picture of it. I can have fond memories.
But so, with the first full length then, just like the process of recording that, I'm kind of curious, like how, because you found the same like album artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you find that guy?
I think it was Theo's discovery.
Yeah, Theo was backpacking in like Peru or Brazil. I think Brazil. And he met that guy, a Brazilian smut artist. And they were friends, and the rest of that is history.
Yeah, I think one of like 2 interviews I could find was something with the Kevins on Invisible Oranges, and somebody asked them about the album artist, and they were like, "Oh, have you ever met them?" And I think Wonderlick was like, "No, and I don't want to."
Yeah, we except Theo.
The recording for the first album was actually, I think it was literally, I had a single SM57 set up in the middle of the practice room, and we just played through all the songs, and then we overdubbed some guitar parts on top of that, and then I think maybe Megan overdubbed some vocals at one point, and that was pretty much how the record was recorded. It was like, I don't think we intended those to be the final recordings, but they kind of ended up being the final recordings.
That's insane.
Yeah.
The power of SM57s.
Yeah, and I overdubbed the vocals in Theo's basement at the time, inside of like a walk-in closet that we filled with pillows. That's how we did the vocals in the first record.
Created a nice little DIY sound booth.
Yeah. It was a very DIY record.
I mean, DIY or die. But yeah, so then I guess with like the recording process of the second record, did you guys record that one yourself as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a more I guess structured recording process. Like we did it was sort of like track the drums and then the guitars and then the vocals, and I think it ended up being maybe not as fruitful as the way we did the first and third one, where we kind of replayed all at the same time. I think everyone kind of preferred doing it the sort of live take way as opposed to the layering way, which a lot of metal bands tend to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense given that like the live show sound for you guys is this sort of like cohesive, tight, kind of like dirty, big live room kind of sound.
Right.
And then the third one you guys did with Ben Greenberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Which
And
is-
that was a shit. When did you guys actually record that? Because I know you put the record out kind of as a surprise.
I think it was February, right?
No, we recorded in December. It was
December.
like 5 days in December of 2019 at Strange Weather, which is a studio here in Brooklyn, just like on actually the street I used to live. So I used to run into Ben Greenberg all the time on my old street. And then we hit him up to do the record, and that was the first time we were ever in a studio, which was sick.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's a good studio to have your first experience in too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's legit.
Awesome. One of the other things I actually wanted to ask you guys about, I know you've occasionally had guests appear on some of the albums to kind of like throw in some different instruments. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that process.
About the process of the guest.
Whatever. Either or.
It's usually generally people we know.
Yeah.
You know, like on the first one, it was I think Devinder and Leo, and they're just friends, and we thought it would be cool to have a certain instrument as an extra texture in the arrangement.
Yeah.
And
Did
have them, you know, either sent them the recording and they like recorded it and sent us the file, or recorded them in like the same room. So it's sort of just, you know, it's nice to add things that aren't just electric guitars to music like this. So it's sort of whatever we're inspired to do, we'll either know someone who does it because we know so many musicians, or we'll seek out the people that can do it.
Yeah. And we found like for In Contempt, on the last song on Contempt, we had a whole like arrangement of, I think, like a tuba guy, 2 trombonists. What else was there? Violin, I think we had.
I'm not sure for that one.
Whole brass arrangement for the and none of those musicians wanted their name on the couch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whatever.
Did they have a reason for that?
Yeah, they're professional musicians. Yeah, it's like that's their job, you know.
That's their job. They got
So maybe the Discogs page, including something that says Couch Slut.
Yeah. You know.
can't have that.
Yeah, well, you know, or you could, and you could be less uptight, but yeah.
Violates terms and services.
It's true, actually. Having, anytime we put on a show of y'all's and I'm like, oh, like maybe we should throw some money behind this post to make sure that the Facebook algorithm doesn't bury it. It's always like, what do I call them this time?
Yeah.
We actually had to change our name on Facebook like a week or two ago because Facebook hit us up and we're like, oh, you've been flagged for being bad or whatever. So
You must be doing something right.
Slut shaming.
Yeah, it's true. Megan, can you tell me a little bit about the original Couch Slut?
The original Couch Slut?
The name.
And I'm on my couch right now. Do you want to see it?
Excellent.
The name came from a lyric written by Eugene Robinson of Oxbow. And that's just kind of what we all agreed on. We're all big Oxbow fans.
Nice. And then, Amy, I also see you have your miniature trumpet behind you.
Yeah.
My little baby.
Is that the trumpet that you play in the recording on the new record? Because I know you were playing it live, but
It's not. I just played this on the played it live because it's really cute. On the record, I used a Martin trumpet from the 40s, but this is cooler, aesthetically at least.
So small.
what's
It's
the
older,
deal
too.
with that?
It's a 1907 Conn parlor cornet or pocket cornet, and they were made for either women players or people that wanted to go on like a tour with their cornet and not have a big case, or they're meant for like a parlor concert or like novelty purposes. So it's basically like the same as a standard cornet. It's just wrapped up a lot more. So it's just very cute. And Conn only made, there's only like about 12 of those known to exist made by Conn. There's a lot by other makers, but the Conn ones are special because there's not very many out there, and it's like a really high quality instrument. So it's been a dream since high school to have one, and I finally was able to make it happen.
Well, and it's also just like backing up a little bit. Also, you have sort of like a more like diverse musical background than.
Yeah, I grew up learning trumpet was my first instrument, and I was like a classical player, and I did a year at a conservatory in Boston, and then I decided that orchestral music was not a really great career choice for me, so I went to art school instead. And that's where I started teaching myself guitar. I just like bought a guitar and was like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar. And had a band called Toilet Phone, and we never practiced, and we made up all our songs on the spot, and it was really fun.
Nice. And also now, like I would assume that at least a few of the people who are tuning into this are tuning in specifically because they follow you on Instagram and or TikTok, where you've also made a whole bunch of videos about these like totally amazing wacky guitars.
Yeah, I post a lot about weird guitars that I like or own, or stuff that I'm repairing or restoring at work. And this one's my favorite. It's my big, doesn't really fit in the screen, harp guitar. So this one is another sort of weird thing, but I just like all the weird shit, basically.
Yeah, that is bizarre and very cool.
Yeah.
And then in the context of Couch Slut, I know like you sometimes play is it a 12-string baritone?
No, it's just a 12-string.
Okay.
It's just a big 12-string.
Okay.
I used that exclusively on the first record, and then for this one, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. But the 12-string originally was designed as a bass guitar would have an octave lower, and at the last minute, I think they made a couple with that configuration, but at the last minute they switched to a standard 12-string because they were trying to compete with the Rickenbackers that came out in the mid-60s. So that's why it's so big. It's because it looks a lot bigger than a standard guitar. It weighs like 12 pounds.
Somebody says the harp guitar looks something like a tiny goat plays.
A tiny what?
A tiny goat.
I like that. That's cute.
It's got that sort of like lyre configuration, I guess.
Yeah, it has a weird point at the bottom. And that guitar, actually, I traced the origins of it. It was owned by a jazz ensemble in like the early 20s in Seattle called the Wang Doodle Orchestra. And it's great. It's like an early black jazz ensemble in Seattle, and they had a harp guitarist who also played mandolin, and I think a woman who played piano, and I think she may have played cornet as well. I wish there were recordings, but all I can find is a photograph, but that guitar is in the photograph, and I found that very awesome to know exactly where it was like 100 years ago.
How the hell did you track that down? That's so cool.
My friend Greg Miner runs the Harp Guitar Foundation, and he has like a huge catalog of harp guitar images, and he's obsessed with the maker of this, whose name is Knutson. And so he's like, oh, I think I found your guitar, and he sent me the picture, and it has the same inlays on the neck and the same size guitar. I contacted, I think I can't remember who has it. There's a group, like a Black History group in Seattle that has the image in their archive. And I wrote to them and was like, I think I have this guitar. And like, we looked at a high res version of it. And it was fun to dig into that history.
Someone's shouting out Retrofret in the comments.
Oh yeah, I work at Retrofret.
That's how come she knows everything there is to know about stringed instruments.
Yeah, specifically guitars, but I know a little bit about bowed instruments as well. But Retrofret's great. If you like old guitars, you should come by. You can make an appointment and come play with stuff, or if you want to get something fixed, just like hit me up or call the shop.
But yeah, so then I also kind of want to touch a little bit also on some of your like less obvious influences as a band. I don't know that you would call Steely Dan an influence, but I feel like Megan would probably also not call Steely Dan not an influence. I just saw the giant Steely Dan blanket behind you.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say that they're an influence in like in the fact that, you know, they like really take their compositions like very seriously, you know. And
I personally can't stand Steely Dan.
Amy hates Steely Dan. The rest of us like.
I mean, personally, I also hate Steely Dan. I was made to sit through Gaucho recently. Anyways. But I also respect how aggressively over the top it was.
Yeah, if anything, you could say anything about Steely Dan, you have to say it's like aggressively over the top. Like,
and actually, if you are tuning into the live stream next week, or the stream next week, and you should, keep an eye out for Megan's pants.
Pants. My Steely pants.
But yeah, I don't know. I think one of the other sort of questions I had for you guys, like, you've done a little bit of touring, but I know that, like, independently, like, I know, Megan, you've done some additional touring. There's a song specifically about, like, an early touring experience that, you know, is spooky as hell. Like, that song gives me the fucking creeps. Somebody did ask about it in an earlier comment. Someone wanted to know the story of the real coach.
The real coach? So the reason why the guy's name was Coach is because, and this is like adds a layer of just disturbingness to the story, is that Coach, his biker nickname was Coach because he was a coach for like troubled like little kids. He was like a mentor for like children. Yeah, so that's that guy.
Fucking horrifying.
Drugging us with, you know, ketamine and putting handcuffs and stuff. You know, regular Ohio stuff. Shout out to Ohio if you're from there and watching. Fucked up state.
But yeah, so no, not a great place, and yet every 4 years it gets to play an outsized role in the fate of the country.
Sure does.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you have Kevin Hall saying Ohio is bad, so.
Yeah, and he's from there, so he knows.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, I guess he is from there.
Go Browns, I guess.
Woo!
That is probably one of like the only things I think. Not only that's like the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Kevin Hall after like Couch Slut is Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Did you ever see his Browns? He's got a Cleveland Browns like t-shirt of the helmet, and it's got like, instead of the logo, it has a big weed leaf.
No.
Yeah. he's worn that on stage a few times.
That's amazing. So one of the other things I was actually sort of curious about as well is just like with the songwriting process for you guys. I know, like, obviously when you guys are playing live, like, it's very clear that you're kind of like working as a unit in this like really cohesive way. But I was wondering if you could kind of address a little bit of like how the songwriting process typically goes for you guys, or how that's evolved. Hey, Kirby.
Oh, I think at least for the third record, it was sort of like a lot of the ideas started with Theo, and then he'd bring them in, and we'd kind of to be kind of like played and then sort of fleshed out as a group. I didn't have as much to do with the fleshing out portion of that, but most of the parts that I'm playing, we kind of worked out together. So it's sort of like maybe like one person has like a riff or an idea, and then we work on it, and then it's like, oh, this other riff that we have might go well with that, and then sort of stick them together, and then just kind of play things until they feel right. And it's kind of more of an organic process than like we're gonna have like this, and this, and this. It's sort of song by song though.
Yeah.
And like over time, has that kind of shifted a little bit, or is it sort of the general way that stuff is kind of evolved?
The general way.
You know, one of them will have like a riff, and then they'll send it to each other and be like, oh, you know, look at this. And then they'll kind of, you know, just build on that until it becomes a song. And then I'm the bitch who's like, I actually hate this, and you need to change like X, Y, and Z or whatever. Because I like to give them a hard time, but they're genius musicians, so, you know, they can handle it. I write the very last.
Even when we first started, like it was like Theo and I in his basement. Like I had a bunch of riffs I'd written, and we'd like play them, and then I know Theo had some ideas, and then he'd be on the drums, and like I'd learn something he wrote, and then played. And then once we added Kevin, and Kevin, you know, they added parts and came up with their own ideas, and it was very, very like a group effort.
Nice. And one of the things that I think sort of shows through with the way that you guys play, especially live, is like, you know, as you're kind of like listening to it on record, you know, it grooves, it's you know, very heavy stuff, but then you kind of like seeing it live becomes this like whole other like visceral experience. And I think also really drives home the point that like what you guys are playing is also like not easy either. Like there's kind of a lot to it in terms of like the way that the riffs kind of like meld together, and like sort of the time changes, and kind of the way that works. And it's sort of like, it feels like it's not specific to noise rock, but I feel like noise rock especially does that really well.
Yeah, the songs are kind of, they seem simple because it's a lot of power chords, but then you realize that it's not that simple. And it's sort of nothing is like a really straight structure. It's kind of just like parts that go together, and sometimes there's like an A and a B, and you know, but they're not really like put together in like a traditional song way where you're like, oh, I'm gonna play the verse now and then the chorus and then go back to the verse and then like have a bridge or something.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like a very I would say like heavy, like kind of classical composition mindset in some of the stuff, where it's like rooted in rock music, but like the way that some of the melody parts will come in is more of a classical way, where it's not really like a repeated melody. It's kind of like this developing melody that happens throughout the whole song. Particularly on like Someplace Cheap, not on Someplace Cheap, Someplace Cheap with the bass solo, and then I think All the Way Down with the guitar solo, or the lead like guitar melody.
Yeah, and it's sort of funny because like I guess I started paying attention to it a little bit, especially recently after because I was doing all the research for getting to talk to Chris Spencer of Unsane, and like listening back to the way that the time shifts kind of happen in that too. It was something where I think I had previously sort of taken that for granted in noise rock especially. And so then getting to, not to like be an asshole and brag about it, but I got to see their set live. So you should really like make sure that you can, because it was fucking awesome. Like getting to see that like live in person, like really drives home a lot of like how that kind of like, I don't know. And this is partly also just like, I'm not like a gifted rhythm musician. So like maybe I think this is more complicated than it is, but it comes across as like this sort of like effortless complexity in spots.
Yeah, I think once you know, once you write it and then figure out how it works and then learn it, you don't really think about it so much. You kind of just do it. So it might sound like weird and complex to someone who doesn't know the song, but once you know the song, it's just like riding a bike, or you don't really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve Schweigler has a question. He says he can definitely hear the Oxbow influence, but wants to know what you would think the number 2 noise rock influence on Couch Slut would be.
The Jesus Lizard. Hi, Steve. I love you so much. I miss you.
He also says the narcotic story still blows his mind.
Yeah, it's a great
good record.
To see, we actually all went as a band to see Oxbow live when Brooklyn Bazaar was still RIP. So we went as a band to go see Oxbow, and this guy, Stuart Popejoy, who's in a band from here called Bassoon, who is a sick fucking band. His wife was like at some conservatory with Nico from Oxbow, and she's like a violinist, and he's their guitarist. Jesus, I don't know.
I won't be able to call you on this, so you're good.
But we went to go see them, and after the set, Stuart's like, "Oh, do you want to meet Eugene?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I want to meet him." And so he introduced us, and Stuart's like, "Yeah, this is Megan. She's the vocalist in Couch Slut." And he was like, "I fucking love your band." And I like almost died. And he gave me a really big hug, and it was very sweaty, and it was like top 3 best moments of my life.
It's fucking incredible.
Theo also added that Craw and Dazzling Killman are big influences on Couch Slut.
Yes. Those guys I feel like are like they're having another moment, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the 90s are having another moment.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, with Dazzling Killman and Craw, I feel like that's one where at the time they were like influential but not well known, and I think they're sort of starting to like now kind of get a little bit more of their due, I guess.
Great bands.
Yeah. Steve also says that he saw you in Philly at the Oxbow show.
Yes, we actually went the day after the Oxbow show I just described. Theo and I drove to Philly to see Oxbow again the next night because it was that great. We were just like, shit, it's not sold out. Let's go. And like the first guy we see is fucking Steve from Piron, like from here. Well, from Philly, but
Wow.
So that was awesome. That was a fun night. And that was also our very first date.
Aww.
And you guys are married.
Yeah.
Which, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think the new Oxbow is probably my favorite one, just by the way. The Thin Black Duke is like I think that might be my favorite Oxbow.
They're all like honestly incredible records with like insane compositions. Yeah. Is like a ridiculous front person of a band. Just like if you've ever seen, even if you can't see them live, just go look at a video of them playing.
Yeah. Eugene is a genius. I think they all are.
Eugenius?
Eugenius.
I'm not sorry. I was gonna say I was sorry, but I'd be fucking lying. Kevin Hall also mentions that Craw is from Ohio, perhaps one of the few redeeming things about the state.
Maybe Ohio's not so bad.
Ohio has great bands, good bands, and you have to, I think if you're coming from such a fucked up place, like you can only really play like really cool and fucked up music. So there's some cool bands. Cleveland is cool, I just wouldn't ever go back to, Reading, Ohio. That's all.
Yeah, I guess Craw, he's saying, is from Cleveland. So
nice.
Points in its favor.
The Browns and Craw.
What more could you want? But yeah, so then I guess their 2 reunion shows were in Cleveland and Brooklyn actually. It was at Vitus, I
Yeah.
remember. So.
I was at that.
I actually have a shirt from it because Doug bought a shirt and they accidentally gave him a ladies medium. Not fit.
That's funny.
But yeah, so I'm just shifting gears to talk a little bit about the live stream. Like live stream, it's a stream. You guys were live, we're, taping it. But how, I think, did Frank put that together?
Yeah.
Ish.
I think he edited it, but he had the 2 camera guys shooting it as well.
Yeah.
He did like set it up, but I kind of
Yeah.
like I may have like a little bit forced his hand, kind of.
Okay.
Because I saw, Doug did the Glorious Depravity stream. I believe that was right. And I was like, what the fuck? I want to fucking play a Vitus. That's not fair. And he's like, oh, you guys can play. Yeah, okay, cool. We'll do it. So.
Well, I actually, he booked you for his birthday one year too.
That's right. I think we got him a cake. Did we get him a cake? Frank, if you're watching, didn't we get you a cake?
I don't think he's watching, partly because I think when I talked to him last, he was like making sure that your set ran smoothly.
Oh yeah, we kind of gave him like a couple of annoying notes later than he asked for the deadline of notes, so sorry.
It sounds great though, so we're very happy.
That's good. I was gonna say, did you Steely Dan Gaucho him and make him throw it all out? And you're...
No, I would not. I wouldn't.
We should have.
Oh my god, I would feel so
Redo it 3 times.
Bring in
the session musicians.
Oh my god, fire them all, throw all over the room.
Exactly.
Kevin is saying that he thinks you got Doug the cake. I do remember that you got Doug a cake, but that might be a separate incident. You got him like a shitty, like the shittiest bodega cake you could find at some point, and like put a candle in it.
Oh,
Seems appropriate.
I'm sure.
It was during your set, also, actually.
Oh my god, wait, yeah, we sang happy birthday to him during our set. I remember. Did we gave him a cake too with like candles and shit?
It was like the equivalent of a tasty cake, but not actually a tasty cake because we're in New York, so you couldn't find one.
I remember now. I got him this like 50-cent, like it had probably been sitting there for 3 years. Oh my god. Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it was precious. Steve says Doug loves cake. Make sure you get him another. But yeah, not to talk about Doug for the rest of this because that would be weird. Just to talk a little bit about like the way that you guys have actually been able to play a little bit. I know you haven't really been able to play much during the pandemic, and you sort of were practicing for this and stuff. But have you guys sort of been writing at all, or?
I believe Theo has written quite a lot of material for the next album, but we haven't really had a chance to work on it as a group yet.
We like just got a practice space again, like a month ago.
Nice.
So
Yeah, get ready for this.
Prior to like a month ago, we haven't all played together since we recorded in December of 2019. So it's been like 1.5 years that we play at all, which was really sad.
That's especially also like that's really impressive given what I saw you guys do on Sunday.
Yeah, that was I think 4 practices we had.
We learned the shit out of those songs before we recorded them, so I think it all came back pretty easily.
And was it the full album?
Yeah, front to back, we played the whole thing.
Even with the little interlude.
Even the interlude.
I don't know if you were there for the interlude, Caroline. I can't remember.
I ran away because at that point I was like, I have not been doing the work I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh my gosh, wait till you see Kevin and Amy dual guitar this like beautiful piano. It's really sick.
I'm actually very excited that I left at least one thing to be a surprise then, because that sounds really awesome. And the original thing was piano, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then who did the piano? How did you get in touch with them?
So
A friend of Kevin's, I believe.
yeah, our guitarist Kevin, he actually took a hiatus from the band for like 8 or 9 months because he is a professional guitarist and he got a job for a Broadway musical, like a playing guitar in some like touring Broadway musical for kids called Lightning Thief, which is like kind of like a Harry Potter's kind of a thing. And so being in that realm, he like met, you know, all these composers, and I guess this one guy like super into Couch Slut, so he asked him to do this piano thing, and the guy said yeah. So that's Wiley DeWeese. He's a Broadway composer slash pianist or writer, you know, and yeah, he's on the record, which is kind of cool.
It's a really cool part. And then with like the decision to, because you guys released that record just kind of spontaneously
Yeah.
with no advance notice.
Yeah, well, we had a whole release show planned, the festival in Pittsburgh, I think, but that had to be canceled. So we're just like, well, we might as well release this because we wanted to give people something nice to listen to. Well, not nice, but you know, something that would make people feel something that wasn't just despair about the state of the world.
It was really helpful in that respect.
I think a lot of people were grateful to have a new record to listen to at the height of that insanity.
Yeah, because it was May 1st. It was a Bandcamp day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a dark time.
Shit was bad.
It's still dark, but it's maybe a little less dark now.
Yeah. But we had to raise like almost $5,000 for like Black trans mutual aid groups.
Yeah.
So that was good,
great.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have managed to raise like a decent amount through like selling music, which I think is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's important to support those organizations and mutual aid funds.
Yeah, and then I would actually encourage folks when this does get posted, if you have any suggestions for additional organizations, to throw them in the comments of the saved video, just because, you know, I know everybody has their list, but always good to compare notes. So.
Yeah. And if, you know, you're watching, if you go onto my page and click the link of when I posted this video, there's a link to donate to the Ollie Forney Center, which is the largest organization in New York City that's working to help like LGBTQ youth with housing, homeless kids, which is especially important during the pandemic. You know, you come out to your parents and they kick you out and you have nowhere to go because it's a fucking pandemic. So if you donate $15 or more, we're going to send you a free CD of Take a Chance on Rock and Roll. Just DM me your donation receipt and your address.
And we'll put that info in the comments as well. So if you happen to be somebody who like wants to check this later. I think Sunrot also mentioned No More Dysphoria as a good organization.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure I know who this is, but I think it's Nathan. Your merch guy at the last Migration Fest was rad sick.
Ah, yeah, that was Nathan. He's probably saying, are you saying that about yourself, Nathan? Because it's true.
He's using the I Hope You Suffer podcast account, so I'm just going to assume.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, so somebody else brought up that you guys formed in Brooklyn, but Megan is from Allentown. And if you talk to Megan at any point during a show, she'll probably have like a crazy Allentown related story for you about some live music. So I was wondering, Megan, how did the general Allentown music scene kind of shape your entry into the music world?
Well, I mean, like physically, I've had, broken bones. So, I mean, you want to talk about shaped? Yeah, it's like I've had my jaw, you know, numerous surgeries because of these shows, a bunch of concussions, horrible, like many stitches, you know. But on a different level, just like I don't know, New York is totally different. Like we ended up I took Couch Slut to go play in Allentown for the first time, and I was like, just to let you guys know, this is not the kind of crowd that you see in Brooklyn. Like, generally here people are just standing there and watching, but in Allentown it's like a lot of these people work like minimum wage jobs, like in a factory, or like, unemployed, a lot of drug users. They don't care about their like physical well-being. So they're beating the shit out of each other and like, throwing chairs, breaking furniture off of each other, setting things on fire, you know, stuff like that. So actually the second time we played in Allentown was a warehouse basement, and nobody could come because there was like a wedding of some scene people that day. So like nobody showed up until like halfway through our set. Like all of these people showed up in formal wear, like from the wedding, into this like decrepit warehouse basement. They smashed all this glass on the concrete floor, and then they dogpiled me on top of the glass like while performing. So
One or two new scars.
yeah, just a few. But yeah, it's just a different. All the places, have since in the last 10 years have sadly shut down. Gentrification happened there too, and DIY spots are no more, as far as I know. But when it was happening, I mean, we had like crazy shows there. We had, Landed played at our spot, which is a amazing band from Providence, Rhode Island, noise rock band. Wolf Eyes,
So I know as far as like extended touring, you guys haven't done like a ton of extended touring, but I'm going to assume like following stuff when things open up again, like what types of kind of tour opportunities are you guys looking for?
I personally would like to go to Europe or Japan, something more abroad, but I'll take anything at this point.
I don't want to go anywhere.
I want to go. I want to go to, even like to go to California or something.
What I need is like a masseuse and like a bathtub, and then we could be like good to go.
See if they can get one of those giant like football locker room tubs to stick in the back of your van.
Something like that, maybe a personal chiropractor, if anyone, knows a chiropractor that wants to double as a roadie.
I mean, that's a niche. I'm sure that there are other folks who hurt themselves on the regular while playing live.
I would assume so.
Yeah, there can be a back health budget, Kevin says. But yeah, so I don't know, as far as like other stuff coming up, one of the things actually that I found out right before this is the vinyl that you guys have for sale is like not available anywhere else. The vinyl that you guys have as part of the ticket package.
Yes.
It's this like, sorry, go ahead.
They're just very limited. And it's a smoke marble, which we're releasing on 4/20 for Weed Day.
Finger guns, yeah. Nice. But yeah, so then also I guess uh, you know, with the Sunrot co-headlining situation, did you guys kind of talk about that, or who kind of came up with the idea of using of partnering with Sunrot?
I think that was all Frank.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then, you know, when we were talking about dates, I just said, like, can we just please air this on 420? Like, and then, you know, George and Frank said, yeah. So I was like, great, we're down. Let's do it.
Nice. Kevin is very slowly typing out 420 in there. But yeah, I don't know. So usually we run these things for like a full hour, like, but one of the things that I always want to try to do at the end is also give you guys a little bit of time. If there's anything that we haven't kind of touched on that you guys wanted to talk about, any other projects coming up, any past projects you guys have worked on, other stuff like that.
Amy, I would just like to talk about our pets, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Always welcome.
Hey, Sarge, come here. Amy, go.
I can find my little boy. Hold on.
Sarge. Everyone can meet Sarge. Yada yada. Come here. I don't know if you can see his.
Sarge is legit one of the best dogs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's a little in the dark, but if you haven't seen Sarge, like, it's just worth following Megan on Instagram just for Sarge.
It's a bummer. It's so dark in here.
Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, there's Walter.
That's your boy.
And Walter is famous, right?
Yeah.
Walter was in, is it the Girls and Their Cats book?
He's not in the book, but we're on their page. Maybe we'll be in the second book.
Nice. And his famous trick.
I actually rescued her as a kitten from the L train like 8 years ago, I think. 8 or 9 years ago. There was like a kid on the L train who had this like little black kitten inside of a box. And he was just like, oh, this kid, I don't know, the kid was like 12 or 13 years old, and he was just like, it was rush hour on the L train, and he was like just trying to give away this kitten because his landlord wouldn't let him keep it. And I was like, oh my God, like, before this thing gets in the wrong hands, I said, I don't even care. Like, I'll take it. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
And I had to go back to my job at a dog daycare. So I roll in there with this kitten in a box, and 65 dogs started flipping the fuck out. So I couldn't keep him there, obviously. Got him fixed up, and then Amy adopted him.
I fell in love with him right away.
Yeah, imagine me.
And Amy, what was, I know what this is, but if you could explain what you just did with Walter and the like crazy accordion.
I don't know. I think Megan showed me this when he was a baby.
Yeah, he likes
if
to
you
be
grab him by his shoulders and his hips, he stretches out.
Yeah,
I don't know why he does this, but he does this.
Doing
arm over your shoulder. It's a great accessory.
I mean, what doesn't match a black cat? Like,
exactly. Okay. Also, I should note, I am going to be having a solo album coming out someday soon. I'm working on getting details sorted out for like a pre-order situation for a vinyl. So I'll be posting more about that at some point in the near future. I'm just working out the details of a special edition version of it.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, definitely keep us posted on that. What is it like? Is there anything else you can tell us about the solo record? Or
it's like all acoustic music, where I play like my harp guitar and like flute and concert zither and stuff. It's on a Bandcamp page right now if you want to listen to it.
Nice.
I think it's like amyrose.bandcamp.com. It's in my link in my bio if you want to listen to it. So I'm going to do a vinyl version and possibly a cassette version at some point. Hopefully soon. Just got to get it all logistically sorted out.
Awesome. We'll definitely try and post that in the comments as well. Just I'm going to furiously try to remember everything that goes in the comments and then probably add to it as I remember what I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm also currently being yelled at by Theo, who I think may have. Anyway, Theo's yelling about how Gaucho is the perfect record in despair and subdued.
It's a great record.
Regardless of your opinion on Gaucho, I'm pretty sure that spare and subdued does not really.
Definitely not subdued. There's nothing subdued about that band at all.
Or spare.
No.
But I do appreciate the good-natured trolling. And yeah, Kevin Hall is confirming that it's amyrose.bandcamp.com.
Oh, great. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. Oh, what?
Yeah, now it's really just Theo yelling about Gaucho. So
Walter says Steely Dan is not that good.
Walter is a cat of many refined tastes.
He is.
I'm probably more like highly attuned hearing than all of us. So
yeah.
Cool. So we are, Theo maybe made an Instagram just to defend Steely Dan.
Hear him laughing from the office.
Yeah, so we're coming up on 9 o'clock. So I want to make sure that we have like one last opportunity to just plug. Theo claims he's whispering. One last opportunity to just plug the live stream coming up on 4/20. A nice, easy date to remember. It's with Sunrot. It was filmed at Vitus. Frank, aka Max Volume Silence Live, filmed it. We love Frank, obviously. And I'll post the link in this when it gets saved. So what usually happens is we'll archive this on the St. Vitus page, so you'll be able to check it out there. And tickets are available. You can also get one of these like crazy exclusive limited smoke vinyl copies of the most recent record, which is fucking awesome if you do not know it already. Assume that you do if you're here. And then lastly, the Ali Forney Center. If you go to Megan's page and you donate at least $15 to the Ali Forney Center, DM proof of donation, they will mail you a copy of the album on CD, which is fucking great. So definitely do that. Goes to a good cause as well.
Smoke. Can you see the smoke? Maybe you can. Oh yeah,
you can
smoke.
see it.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Fancy.
And I gotta say, I do actually really love that you guys have the same album artist for all, like the same like visual treatment is really effective.
We kind of thought, now that we've done 3, that like kind of move on to a different actor, but then I think it would look really good to have 3 records and then like a photograph,
I mean, then maybe you just have to do 3 more with whatever it is.
Because
or just do whatever the fuck you want. Like,
yeah.
It seems like that's mostly what you guys do anyway. And I mean that with respect. It's part of why you guys are like a compelling band, is you're kind of just doing whatever the fuck you want, which full support.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else for the folks tuning in before we call it quits?
Just thank you for watching. Check us on Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you everybody for the support.
Pet your pets, hug your friends. That's all.
Yeah, you can mosh with your animals on Tuesday.
Yeah, don't give them snacks.
Cool. And then also make sure that you're following both Megan and Amy on Instagram. And also, like, if you are somebody who actually understands how to use TikTok, I don't, but definitely follow Amy there, because like her videos are one of the few things on TikTok where I'm like, oh, I get why this is cool. So, I'm too old. I don't understand that platform, but you're killing it at it. So
it took a sec, but I still kind of feel old on it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much. And we will, quote unquote, see you on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And yeah, cool. And thank you to everyone who tuned in. We will be saving this up there. And yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.